of you already. I'm sure I'll meet the other ones. The Church Avenue bid and Flatbush Avenue bid represent about 420 businesses and about a little over 200 different properties. On Flatbush from Parkside to Cortelyou, and on Church from Coney Island Avenue to Flatbush Avenue. So we have been very busy over the last year and a half. There's only 3 staff people, and our businesses have been struggling, as everyone knows. We have a lot of questions for the candidates. We'd love to see what kind of ideas you have for small businesses. And that's it. Just welcome, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Lauren. Not sure if Lisa's here from Kitten Market. I'm not sure if she's here yet. If not, next we're gonna go to the Gentleman Factory, Jeff Lindor, who have a workspace for a black man, 300, projected to have 500 small business black men next year. Jeff from Gentleman Factory, please.
Round of applause for Joanne, everybody. Round of applause for Joanne. Woo! Name is Jeff Lindor, Gentleman's Factory. It's a community for black and brown men to build and change the world. And it could not have started without Joanne playing an intricate role. And my phone is ringing because that's, right? It could not have happened had it not been for Joanne to invest her time, her belief in us, right? So we have a space here. We were the anchor tenant before they expanded, right? So I have to expand with them. It's really a community for black and brown entrepreneurs to move the world. So COVID occurred. We then went digital, and we have members all across planet Earth. And what I want to say, particularly about black and brown men, is society projects us a certain way, but we're more than what society says, right? We have doctors and veterans like Dr. Kwesi Blackman right here saving lives in the hospitals here, and so many others who are just doing really phenomenal things. So I'm really excited about today's conversation about how we build up small businesses, about the money that is allocated to small businesses. Well, that's not allocated to black-owned businesses, but that's another conversation. And I'm super excited for all of the candidates. I know many of you all. And thank you so much for having me, Joanne. And let's build, everyone. Her.
Thank you. Next, we have Impact Brooklyn, Parkside Empire Flatwood Merchant Association. Dale.
Thank you all, and welcome. So my name is Dale Charles. I'm the Director of Economic Development at Impact Brooklyn. Impact Brooklyn has been in existence for 56 years, 57 maybe. We have been working hard with the small businesses during COVID. A lot of the businesses here, we had a private fund that we were able to give to most of them, even Brooklyn Commons. We still are looking for support. We have been doing PPP applications in our sleeve, trying to make sure that we can sustain these businesses while COVID still exists. And do understand the businesses still need help. We are losing them day by day. So our goal here is to ask the question, what are you doing for the small businesses now? And what you're gonna do for them once you're elected. So, my goal, I've been working with Impact with small businesses for over 20 years. And I'm seeing the suffering on Flatbush Avenue between Parkside and Empire is where my zone is. And other areas, but tonight is for that area. But yeah, thank you. And thanks for having me.
Thank you. We have a few of our partners that I would like to mention. They're online. Haitian American Caucus is here. And also I would like to introduce Stanley. Right now they're doing the whole online introduction. So give us a second and then I'll go ahead and introduce you guys. Ready? Okay, great. Next, I would love to introduce our amazing 2 moderators for tonight, Marian and Obocho. And you guys, thank you so much. You guys have the floor.
Thank you, Joanne. First of all, Joanne is amazing. I'm just going to break character. I don't care. Joanne is the biggest supporter that we have at Well Closed, period. Not just at Brooklyn Commons, Period. I can tell you flat out, we could not do the work that we do without your support. You're amazing. Guys, welcome. Thank you all for coming. Welcome to Brooklyn Commons Small Business Q&A with Brooklyn's 40th District City Council candidates. Welcome. We're so excited to have you guys. My name is Marion. I am co-founder and COO of Well Clothed. We're a small nonprofit supporting people with clothing care packages for individuals in need. We also run large-scale free clothing pop-ups for individuals to come and shop for anything they need for free. And I'm also a real estate agent and real estate coach. So I teach new agents how to be agents. And I actually started my real estate career here at Brooklyn Commons as well at a small brokerage that was in one of the offices here. So I have a lot of love for Brooklyn Commons. I'm really excited as a 2-time small business owner to hear from you guys tonight. And I'm next to Obocho Peters. He's super exciting as well. I love, this kid is amazing.
Thank you so much, Joanne, for this opportunity tonight. My name is Obocho Peters, and I'm a 12-year-old CEO. I own a children's thrift store, and I sell affordable clothes and shoes for ages newborns to 12 years old to help families save money.
Snap. All right. So we're going to get into it. We're going to start with a few rules. Can you guys hear me? The mic is good. All right. We're going to start with some housekeeping rules. Rule number 1, all candidates must be physically here. You guys are all here. There's no stand-ins tonight, so that's fantastic. Thank you for being here.
Rule number 2, each candidate will be given 1 minute to introduce themselves in the beginning and 1 minute to answer the questions we ask.
All right. Rule number 3, we ask that you all just don't curse, okay? No profanity. This is a family show.
Rule number 4, please be courteous and respectful to one another.
All right. Number 5, please stay on topic. We are trying to get out at a reasonable time, okay? We want to hear your answers, but definitely don't, go overboard or go off topic. If you do need to have the question asked again, just let me know. We'll repeat it.
Rule number 6, please do not interrupt or try to talk all over other candidates or the moderators while they're speaking.
Does that sound good? Y'all know the rules? Yeah. Okay, fantastic. So let's get started. Let's get to know you guys, okay? So we're going to start with you, Ms. Cortez. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah. So now, I have a minute?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Hi. How are you? I am Cecilia Cortez. I'm running for City Council in District 40. I am an immigrant. I came to the United States with my family as a teenager. We moved to the United States in search of better opportunities, searching the American dream. I went to school. I became a teacher. I taught the deaf and hard of hearing for the 35 years in New York City, in Brooklyn. And I also was a chapter leader for the United Federation of Teachers. Services have been very important in my life. I have served in my community. As soon as I moved into Ditmas Park, I work with the community with different organizations doing different projects. As a city council member, I will continue to work doing things for the community. I will make sure that the sanitation budget is restored. We have open space. Schools are well funded. I think that Brooklyn is a great place to live, and we need.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Cortez. Thank you. We're going to go to the right here. So, Ms. Hines, hello.
Hello. My name is Harriet Hines. I'm a single mother of 3 children, 43-year resident of District 40. I'm also a candidate for District 40. I'm a person with a physical disability. Within District 40, I do hold various roles. I'm on the Committee of Education Council for District 22. I'm also the president of Parade Grounds Friends of Parks. I'm also on Democratic County Committee, co-vice president of PS 139. And here today, I am the project manager of I Am a Boat Show.
Oh.
So being here feels just like home, and I'm happy that he is one of the moderators, and everyone gets a chance to see the hidden gem that I discovered. His mother had him first, of course, but I discovered him like 3 years ago. I've been working with him ever since, and we've made great strides, and I'm very, very happy to be here.
Fantastic. Thank you for coming. Oh, Thank you for bringing people. I didn't know we could bring people, but that's cool. All right. Miss, is it Handy Hilliard?
Yes.
All right. Can you start?
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Kenya Handy Hilliard, and I'm running to be your city council member. I'm a wife. I'm a mom of 2 beautiful young children. I'm a daughter of Flatbush, raised in District 40, and I'm running because I want to make sure we create greater equity in our community, and that includes, hello, can you? 1, 2, 1, 2.
Did we lose the mic?
Mic check, mic. Okay, there we go. I want to make sure that we create greater equity ownership in the community, and that starts with our small businesses. And that means it's being a resource to you, making sure that you have all the information, that we are supporting people or organizations like Impact, so that you have access to grants, funding, and so that you can grow and thrive. And so that is the role that I've played throughout my career. I have 14 years of experience. I have the legislative, budgetary, and activism and investigative experience to make sure that you get the resources as small businesses, and that we partner with our arts and culture community to make this an arts and culture destination. I don't know if did you hear destination.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Raymond.
How is everyone tonight? Okay, so my name is Edwin Raymond. I'm a son of Flatbush. My parents are immigrants from Haiti. A little bit of a rough childhood. My mother died when I was 3 years old. My father spoke no English, had no education, but he raised me to be someone that's principled. I started being mistreated by cops as a teenager, and that persuaded me to join the police department at 22 years old. I joined the police department to learn how it operates, why it operates the way it does, and most importantly, what we can do about it. When I became a police whistleblower 5 years ago, ever since then, people have been asking me to run for the seat. 2 years ago, I sat down with some mentors. I learned all the positions and many hats that the city council member wears, and I'm ready to represent you from City Hall.
Thank you. All right, guys, just really quickly, I want to point out that we do have a timekeeper here. So when you see the little cards go up, that means wrap it up. Okay. If we can hear from Ms. Joseph in the back.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rita Joseph. I'm an educator, community advocate, a small business owner. So some of your struggles are also my struggles. Proud union member. I've been active in this community since I was 19 years old. I put my first rally together when I was 19 with over 150,000 people just to fight some injustice. And I've taken that with me and hopefully take that with me to City Hall and also with my business experience here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Pierre.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Josier Pierre, but you can call me Josh. Came to this country at 5 years old because my dad worked 3 jobs in a factory and my mom as a home health aide. So they raised me and my 3 brothers here in Flatbush. And because of their sacrifices, I was able to become a senior financial analyst. I was able to try my hands at being a small business owner, and my brothers are entrepreneurs as well. I also became as a senior financial analyst, I got to see many businesses come to the office of the comptroller saying, hey, we want to get your guys invested, take some of your millions and billions of dollars into our businesses and try to grow. But I also saw that a lot of them were turned away because of the gaps in understanding, access to resources, etc. So one of the reasons I'm running is to close that gap, to ensure that you have access to the billions of dollars in contracts that the city has to offer. I've also sat on the boards of multiple business improvement districts, and I believe they are key to improving the business environment here. Every morning, you see people not going into the train stations anymore because they're out of work, and so the businesses are not opening. So we need a strong economic recovery, and that's why I'm running to be your next council member. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, Mr. Morris. Hi.
Hi. I'm Blake Morris. A pleasure to be here. I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. I've been a resident in Flatbush for over 20 years. My family's been in Brooklyn since the 1870s. I've been a practicing attorney for over 35 years in contract disputes, representing people who need the help of the law. I have a license to practice law. I've sued the state government and city government many times. I am a community activist. I've been a member of the Ditmas Park Association neighborhood board of directors for over 20 years. I also serve on the neighborhood advisory board as well. It's a board that establishes and sets guidelines for funding for not-for-profits within the 40th City Council District. I am married. I have a daughter who's attending the University of Vermont. I'm really excited about this race. We have a lot of services and goals that need to be achieved in this district, and I think I'd be the candidate to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. You brought the win with you. It's a very powerful moment right now, I guess. All right. Where'd my paper go? My cheat sheet.
It's good.
Miss Morgan, hi. How are you?
Hi. Thank you so much for the invitation to be here. My name is Vivian Morgan, and I want to say thank God for allowing us to be here together tonight. And I'm a union member, Local 79. I'm a mother, a community advocate, and I would like to be your next city council member.
All right, we're gonna pause you because I don't want your moment to get lost. We're gonna figure that out really quickly. I feel like that's gonna wipe everybody out if we aren't careful. Okay, do you want to repeat yourself, Miss Morgan?
I'm sure.
Yeah, go ahead. And just a little louder into the microphone so that we can counteract that win.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation to be here. My name is Vivian Morgan. I'm a proud union member, a community advocate, a mother, and I'm ready to serve you as the next city council member. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to say thank God
Yes.
for us to be here tonight. Let's
All
not
right.
forget that first thing.
All righty. Last but not least, Mr. Jordan. Hello.
Hi, yes, my name is Victor Jordan. Currently, I'm the first vice chair from Vote 17. I began my career here in Flatbush. I taught mathematics at Erasmus Hall High School. In terms of my professional background, I have a background in economics. I've worked as an economist, and I have a background in law. So I think I'm well placed to advocate for small business, for disadvantaged individuals. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I guess you used to teach at Erasmus. You probably sent a lot of my friends home in high school. Okay, let's get started.
Thank you for all your introductions. Miriam will now present the first question.
Back to me. All right. Are you guys ready? Are you excited? So this is a question for every single person, and I think we'll just go in the same order that you introduce yourselves. Okay, you do have 1 minute to answer the question. Please keep track of the scorecard, but the time cards. Okay, as a candidate for the 40th District City Council seat, what will be your top 3 priorities for small businesses if elected? And we're gonna start with you, Ms. Cortez. Speak into the mic. Woo! Go for it.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to strengthen the Merchants Association, because that's the place where the business association, they know what they need, and we must support them. Another thing that I would like to do is I would like to clean the different corridors that we have, because in order to attract people to come to the different businesses, it has to be beautiful and clean, and we don't have now. We have Flatbush, Parkside, Cortelio full of garbage, and that is a very important thing. So I think that is another thing, is that we have to make sure that the merchants have the rents are not high enough so that they don't have to be they're not being displaced. So by supporting that, we will make sure that the merchants stay here safe and secure and helping to develop Flatbush, Cortelio, and all the corridors that we have in District 40.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. All right. We can just go right on down the line. Ms. Hines.
Yes.
Speak into the, yeah.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, my top priorities for small business is definitely government contracts, government funding. Like my experience, especially dealing with the boat show, is that as a for-profit business, it did not expose him to get any kind of funding, like especially like discretionary funding from certain politicians. Though he is working to serve the community, it's like because he's for profit, he can't get any funding. So I definitely would like to work on, government contracts that would give funding to small businesses that serve the community. Also, being a person with a physical disability, I would also like to work with accessibility for small businesses, making sure that, people, especially, who use wheelchairs can get in and out of small businesses. The businesses have like maybe captions or services that can help them communicate to, purchase or deal with small businesses. Also, in the post George Floyd time right now, I would like to work on public safety for small businesses. We know that, during this time that a lot of businesses have been ransacked, vandalized, robbed, and I would like to work on seeing some kind of involvement between the community, clergy, and NYPD to help also small businesses to be able to thrive and to flourish during a post George Floyd time.
Thank you. All right, Miss Handy Hilliard.
Yes. So one is I want to create a District 40 Small Business Council so that we can meet as soon as I start and then talk about what the issues are, coordination, and access to resources. Two, there's about $1 billion coming from the state in FY22 budget. By the time I get there, we'll be discussing FY23. So I want to make sure that our small businesses have received access to FY22 budget. And if they haven't, then make sure that those resources are increased during FY23, and then work with the District 40 Council to ensure that you are receiving those resources. And then it is really about working on the sanitation, making sure that we are creating the key partnerships with the arts community so that we can start organizing around programs, walkable, livable streets, and then really creating the space for us to have, events for us to kind of really bring that commerce and economy to our community.
Thank you. Guys, at home, you can't tell, but it is raining a lot. So please have some patience. If our candidates need a minute, they're yelling into the microphone, trying to make it work. We're very excited that they're going to keep going, but it's raining, just so you know. All right, Mr. Raymond, go ahead.
So just less than 2 months from here, I took a walk with the public advocate right south from here on Flatbush. And what we discovered, there were many businesses who had applied for SBA loans who didn't receive them. And unfortunately, it's not the biggest sample size, but there was racial disparities shown in that. So priority is to make sure those who qualify for the loans actually get them. Second, there's a state resolution, 1485, that basically provides relief for undocumented business workers. There's no reason why we can't have a city version of that. And a third priority for businesses, when I walk up from Parkside and head north towards here, I noticed that many of the storefronts, they're closed, they don't exist. So the city should provide a tax incentive so landlords have short-term leases that allow pop-ups and different uses of the spaces, because activity begets activity. It's not fair for a business to be one restaurant on the block and maybe a T-Mobile store and everything else is closed. Once we're positively using the space, we can keep the economy going in the region.
Thank you. All right, let's swing back to the back there. Ms. Joseph.
Thank you. 3 of my priorities. One, I know rent relief has been big on the list. Of course, as an educator, data drives my instruction. So I would definitely want to sit with business leaders to tell me what their needs are first before I can go and fight on your behalf. And third, we have to provide public safety. We also have to provide access and equity. That's always been one of the things that our community has never had. We've never been able to access the resources. And when we do, we never qualify. Too many red tapes, or we don't know. A lot of my parents who are business owners, I had to refer them to Lauren to apply because they didn't know the deadline. They didn't know when to apply, what paperwork they needed. So information and access is very important. As an educator, that's what I bring, always educating and make sure they have and they know what to do.
Fantastic, thank you. Mr. Pierre.
So, of the three things I would like to accomplish for the business sector, one, access to capital. We're, especially for Black-owned businesses, we're always short on capital, which means we're short on opportunities to make mistakes and keep going and reach success. So access to capital is key. Second, given that we are in Flatbush and we know we produce a lot of culture and produce a lot of great food, there's a gap between becoming a restaurateur and being a caterer because of all the investments that have to be made. So I think it's good and well that we should have a restaurant incubator here in Flatbush to help them grow from being caterers to full-fledged restaurants. And finally, a lot of the issues we have around sanitation, closing our streets so we can have street fairs, and bringing people in can be resolved through a business improvement district. There are gaps in our business improvement districts. For example, there's no business improvement district from Parkside to Empire along Flatbush. This would be an opportunity for our Merchants Association to work with SBS and have a stable system to actually be able to have their voices heard, invest in the local community, and promote this area.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Morris.
So the major problem with our small business districts, our shopping streets, is basically Amazon and big box stores. Our merchants are competing against these giants. So we need to be competitive against them. And one of the ways that we can be, there's multiple ways that we can be competitive against them. And that's through having aesthetic design criteria for our shopping streets, which would include more shade trees, awnings, plantings, and also more trash receptacles, with the trash being picked up a lot more often. Also, we want to have a physical aesthetic, which actually means public bathrooms that the city could invest in by siting them in private property and private institutions, including houses of worship. And so we can actually be able to get resources to private property owners and our cultural institutions and also our religious institutions, and also be providing a public amenity that will support our local businesses. We also want to have our destinations be community friendly. So we want to make sure that every shopping street within every 5 or 10 blocks has some sort of playground, a tot lot.
Thank you very much.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it. Who's back there? Hello. Miss Morgan.
Hi, thank you. So I'm thinking that
If you could just speak a little closer to the mic.
Small businesses, right? We have to work on the Merchants Association, because right now, from what I see, the Merchants Associations are not really active and engaging to the small businesses. Some, not all, right? You have some businesses that really work with the Merchants Association. They participate in the discussions that they do have, but not all of them. We have to figure out ways on how to bring all businesses together. And in that, we could share information with each other and come up with solutions that would fit each and every one of us. Because we have maybe 10 restaurants on the block. Why can't we just bring each of those owners together and share information so we could build on what somebody else knows? And I think that would be a great start. As one, we need to work with the police to think about community safety and engage our young people in these small business as interns. There's a lot of young people out here that has nothing to do, and we have to start investing in our youth.
Thank you. And lastly, Mr. Jordan.
Well, for a business to be successful, a small business, they need capital and they need markets. And I would fight to make sure they get the capital. As you know, very often capital is not given fairly, and certainly minority and women businesses are usually on the short end of that receipt. So we have to fight for equity in terms of capital and markets. The city has many contracts because the city itself is a big market for goods and services. We have to increase the allocation, the set-aside programs for small businesses, because only by having markets to sell their goods, given that the city is a major market, can small businesses grow. So we have to fight for capital and markets. And also, I think as a city council person, I would be available. I would meet with small businesses once a month for at least an hour so they can tell me how things are going and I can see what I can fight for to make sure I meet the needs. Thank you.
Thank you for your answers, candidates. Here's your second question. City council members' budgets include discretionary funding they can put into the community. What are a few items or programs that you would like to fund that would help small businesses?
Yes, Ms. Cortez.
Yes. As a city council, I will involve the whole neighborhood to be part of the discretionary budget. We have the corridors from in Cortelio Road. We can beautify them. We have a Nuclear Plaza. We can beautify. We have Parkside Road, Parkside Plaza. We can do that. And the people are very well to participate and join that. We also have many organizations in the neighborhood that work with women, with children, and with different groups. We can also make them participate in the discretionary budget because that money will be very handy for them. They will be able to use to improve the service that the community have. And we need that very much, that when we have a community that's clean, that's beautiful, people come and business thrive and the community thrives.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Hines, same question.
With the discretionary budget, I would definitely, again, open it up to not only those businesses that are 501c3, but those businesses that are for-profit that also serve the community, like almost in the 501c3 capacity. Like businesses like Abocho that clothe the community for next to nothing to help children save for their college funds. Businesses like Abocho's that do provide financial literacy information to the community so that they are aware of how to direct their finances. And this is especially important for minority people, minority Black and brown communities who don't know how to direct their funds. This information is great. Also, businesses like his that feed the community, that take their own budget and feed the community, don't get monies from other organizations because they have a 501c3, that commit themselves and show that they are committed to the community.
Thank you. Ms. Handy Hilliard?
Yes. So I think it's really important that as we look towards this new era in participatory budgeting, really bringing a strong participatory budgeting system to the community so that businesses who have specialized programs that they want invested in can come to the community for support. It's also about making sure that we are creating connections. Again, I'm a big arts and culture person. So it is about the beautification, as was mentioned before. There are specific programs that are doing big murals, like in Newkirk Plaza. There are discussions about mural competitions throughout the district. There are folks who just need paint and, tools to do so. So it's going to be those kinds of minuscule conversations. I also am really a big proponent of creating the spaces where we can utilize the talents that are in the community so that we can then, if you're an accountant and you may need a little small job, we create the programming that you can come in and help a small business with the minor, basics of their businesses, because that is the thing that is preventing a lot of our access to resources.
Thank you. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Raymond.
So as my colleagues already stated, it's crucial to keep the stakeholders involved in the conversation. And anyone who's a leader, that's how you make decisions. But an idea, something that came to mind is, I paid attention to how successful open streets were last year. And it was mostly so folks can play and kids can have a safe space, no vehicles. We can expand on that. Imagine a structure like this that allows businesses to continue to operate throughout the winter, where heated, ventilated, filtered air, so safe air, that's also doubles as climate control, allows businesses to continue to flourish. And this is something that can be funded partially or totally with discretionary funds that allows businesses to operate throughout the winter. Because I watched as some businesses were able to open up on the sidewalks, it was great. But once November came, a lot of them didn't make it to March.
Thank you. Ms. Joseph?
Definitely. Thank you. Beautify the neighborhood, keep it attractive, accessible, make sure transportation is accessible. But I wanted to talk as putting discretionary funds into public schools. There's a program right next door to my school where they have a hospitality program. And the students there were able to create the meal. We had a Thanksgiving dinner at King's Theater, and they were able to create the meal and serve the public. So that's creating a strong workforce. So if we put money into young people early on, we can create the young entrepreneurs, and they would take this into the hand. That's empowering. So if you empower them, they will do good. So that's one of the ways I would definitely spend some of the discretionary funding.
Thank you. Mr. Pierre?
First, I'd like to start off by saying that we should have an open participatory budgeting process in this district. It's something that we've been lacking. And so by bringing it in, we would democratize how we spend our own tax dollars. Second, if you look at the business corridor we have now along Flatbush Avenue, we did have a sanitation issue before COVID. Post-COVID, it's gotten worse. So with some of that discretionary funding, I'd like to put it out there for us to get additional trash cans and have you vote on it and say, hey, this is a great idea, we want it, or no, we feel like it's just clean enough, maybe we don't want that. When we do open streets, landscaping, Christmas lights, Thanksgiving, Juneteenth, hopefully soon, a lot of that can't go directly to for-profit organizations. But what we can do is give it to the nonprofits like the Merchants Associations, and they can give out contracts, and we can encourage them to give those contracts to local for-profit organizations like yours, your businesses, so that you can share in the largesse of what's coming into this community.
Thank you. Mr. Morris?
All right, so I would have a list of categories to fund. The top of the list would be the Flatbush Development Corporation that does amazing work for tenants and also for businesses. And I would also fund all the merchant associations. We'd also need a robust program of community workforce development. And we want to encourage the workers within our businesses within the 40th district to be more proficient in the English language. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Morgan?
Thank you. So we have the participatory budget, right? And
Can you speak a little closer to the mic?
you keep on saying that.
You far, girl. You gotta move up.
Okay.
It's raining.
So the budget, the discretionary budget, we know that most of the time the politicians have their people that they're funding the programs, right? So I personally think that we need to engage the community to get their information on what would they like to see. Now we have to start asking the community to get involved in the politics of their community, right? When I am elected, I am not going into 250 City Hall and tell people what I think. I would like to get the input from the community so we can work together to build a better business district, school system, police service, etc. And I want to say that all my colleagues here have such great ideas by the time you come to me. What?
You gotta just say ditto. Yeah, ditto to everybody. And Mr. Jordan, same question.
Yes, well, as she says, my colleagues have some great ideas, which I will steal. But I think the key thing for me is always to beautify the area so the place looks good and people want to spend money, and also to be accessible because time's always changing and the needs of small business are always changing. So I think the key thing for me is to always listen to them, always have a continuous exchange with my small business community so I know what their needs are today, tomorrow, and as these needs changes. And that's my view.
Thank you. All right, we have another question. All right. Commercial corridors need to feel and be safe places to visit in order to be successful. What would you change in the district in terms of safety and policing, and what would you keep the same? So we're going to go backwards this time. We'll start with you, Mr. Jordan.
In terms of what I would do to improve the quality and security, well, certainly I would put more cameras up. I think cameras is a deterrent. I think when the public know that they've been watched, I think they tend to behave properly. Also, it would help in terms of apprehending violators. So I think in terms of improving the safety for the community, I would focus on that kind of approach.
Thank you. All right, now it's your turn. You get to go first. You can give the answer that someone else can steal later.
Yeah, right.
Miss Morgan.
So, working with the police precinct council, I think that's great. We have to build the Explorer program for the youth. We have to ask the community residents to police their own community. You know, we know what's going on our block, right? So if we get involved, I think we could create a safe space. A lot of the police officers need to speak to the residents, the community better. You know, not you call a police officer and they're so aggressive. We need to stop that, right? I have no idea why. I'm trying to build relations with the police officers. And I just made a phone call and called this guy, and he was so arrogant. And I'm saying to myself, my God, can you imagine? I'm on the phone and this is happening. So can you imagine if we were in front of each other, what would happen? You know, so they have to learn how to speak and relate with the community better.
Thank you, definitely. Mr. Morris, go for it.
So what I would like to see is a lot more transparency with policing and with the police themselves. There's a substantial difficulty in reporting crime, and there's also a substantial difficulty in the follow-up of what's happening when people are arrested, either as the person who's the arrestee or the person who's the victim, or even that of a witness. So I would like to see a digital dashboard. Of course, citywide, but we can do a pilot program here in the 40th, where there are 3 police precincts. You would have direct access on the web for making a police complaint and following and actually monitoring its progress. So we could actually accomplish quite a bit. Also, what I like to see is a lot more engagement of social services. I want to see, as a pilot program in the 40th, what that would look like to really organize and focus social services in the particular areas of the community that need it the most. And the same using the digital dashboard as well, of having a lot of transparency. And the third point.
Quickly, don't cheat, go ahead.
Again, it's hard to see the timekeeper from here.
Yeah.
And the third.
3 seconds.
And the third point is we need the merchants to step up and don't hide and get involved in high schools. I come from experiences of having merchants involved with high school community organizations like the Key Club, which is a branch of the Kiwanis. So we need a lot of young people to be actually directly connected to our merchants.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
So let me start off by saying, on a macro level, the safest communities are not the ones that have the most police. They're the ones that have the most resources. So again, we've always been cut short on resources, and we have to change that. And that's one of the reasons I'm running for city council. But to your point, community safety is critically important. And we're a majority community of color, predominantly Caribbean American Black. And we've had very negative interactions with the policing. However, there has been one aspect where I have seen, and I have to attest to the fact that even as a Black Lives Matter endorsed candidate, that there are aspects that I see that have been successful, and that's been with our NCO programs, where you have local beat cops who engage the community, get to know the community, and work specific geographic areas so that the residents are comfortable with them, the merchants are comfortable with them, and that relationship is built up so that everybody's keeping us safe. Additionally, I would add that, yes, you have to couple it with social services. We saw what happened on Utica Avenue with that gentleman that had the mental health situation a couple of years ago, the last thing you want to do is call a police officer and it's like an aggressive attack. But if you couple that officer with a social service provider / mental health person, then you have a much better outcome for that person, policing, and the community as a whole.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Ms. Joseph, same question.
Definitely agree on the NCO, but also providing opportunities for young people with the merchants, allowing them to do internship, mentorship. If they become owners, if you empower them, they're going to take ownership. They're going to take care of it. Public safety. I'm a mom of 4 Black boys. I don't see the police interaction. I've always felt that as an educator, I have to take de-escalation classes to de-escalate elementary students. And I always felt that the NYPD needed de-escalation classes. Sometimes they come into a situation that does not require the amount of aggression that I see that they bring. So definitely public safety, interning for the young people, mentoring, providing an opportunity for them to be part of their neighborhood too. And if they're part of it, they'll want to take care of it. So that's a way to empower them.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Raymond?
Yeah. So with this question, the lack of guardians is the issue. And this is one of those situations where police should not be the first resort. And this is coming from a police lieutenant. All right. We have crisis management, violence interrupters. They can be the guardians we need. If we have to step it up, they know how to, then we can call law enforcement to take leadership. But this is something that should be led by people other than the police. It's the lack of guardians that's the issue. And I just want to speak to this because it's so dangerous. The NCO, and this is out of love for my colleagues, the NCO program is just not what you think it is. It is smoke and mirrors. I wish you could be the fly on the wall when cops are speaking amongst themselves about how the community has been duped into thinking that this thing is real. It is not. It is not. This is unfortunately, this is just how the police department operates. It's not what you think it is.
Thank you. Spicy. All right. I'm sorry. Ms. Handy Hilliard.
So I agree with my colleagues. I think there's a way to bring, as we look towards beautification and investment in the corridors, to bring our youth in. It is about our violence interrupter programs. It's about partnering with schools, making sure that there is a pipeline through our merchants so that our young folks understand and have ownership of the neighborhood. They have equity in the business corridors and our local economy. I think there's also a need for us to really, again, bring in kind of the artistic styling and artistry into the neighborhood, using our young people who are the taggers, who are whose normal investment in our landscape would actually be honored and cherished on a wall or something like that. And so it's, again, you look at areas where you got tags and it's a really beautiful mural, nobody tags it up. So we really need to think about how we're utilizing the gifts and talents of our young people so that they feel ownership and accepted into our community.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Ms. Hines.
If many of you have been watching the mainstream media lately, you've seen that I've been a staunch advocate to end gun violence and for public safety. My cousin, Shalima Burkett, was the woman who got shot at a prayer vigil. She got shot 2 times in the head in Brownsville last week, Monday. And right now, it has really, like my main campaign is accessibility and inclusivity. But with the gun violence now, this part has entered into my campaign. I right now have joined an alliance with the Clergy Council, Brooklyn DA's office, in trying to find ways to end gun violence and to get justice for my cousin's death. In terms of small businesses, as an industrial organizational psychologist, that's what I have my degree in. I also do believe it is very important to speak to the community, and you can get some qualitative and quantitative data to figure out where we need to go in terms of community relations with the police. We definitely need, as I said earlier, public safety for small businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Cortez.
Yes. As as we look at the community and District 40, we have a beautiful District 40. It's beautiful. And as the city council that I will be, I will clean up the corridors. It is very important that if we wanted to attract people to come and shop and spend time in our communities, we have to get rid of the garbage, get rid of the rats. The mayor said that the restaurants should open the doors and a lot of people put tables outside, and it's very hard to have a dinner when there is garbage in the corner, there is homeless sitting next to you, and rats running under your feet. So the first thing we have to do is to clean up all of that to make sure that we are able to bring progress to our district. Without that, the district will continue to deteriorate more.
Thank you. All right, guys, thank you so much for those answers. Fantastic. So we're going to move into this discussion about ranked choice voting. So earlier this year, New York City switched to the new electoral system called ranked choice voting, which allows voters the opportunity to vote for their top choice candidate and rank 5 other candidates. Ranked choice voting will be used in special elections and the upcoming primary taking place Tuesday, June 22nd, for the offices of mayor, public advocate, comptroller, borough president, and city council seats.
Instead of casting a single vote for single candidate, votes in ranked choice system select the number of candidates in order of preference. In the race for New York City mayors, voters will be allowed to choose and rank up to 5.
All right, so I guess at home, you're going to please join us as we watch a short presentation about ranked choice voting from Vote NYC. I'm supposed to say roll the video, so I don't know if it's rolling. All right. Joanne.
There's a new way for New Yorkers to have their say in city elections. A way that gives voters more choices and can lead to more diverse winners. It's called ranked choice voting. 74% of New York voters chose to use it in primary and special elections for city offices, mayor, public advocate, comptroller, borough president, and city council. You won't see ranked choice voting in general elections or elections for state or national offices. But in ranked choice voting elections, you can now rank up to 5 of your favorite candidates for each office. Here's how ranked choice voting works. On your ballot, you'll see candidates listed in rows and numbered rankings in columns. Pick your first choice and completely fill in the oval next to their name under the first column. Like always, you can just vote for your one favorite candidate and submit your ballot. But you might like several people. If you have a second choice, fill in the oval next to their name under the second column. Do the same thing for your third, fourth, and fifth choices if you have them. A few don'ts. Don't rank the same candidate more than once. It won't help them, and it takes away your chance to rank the others who are running. Don't give the same rank to multiple candidates. It could disqualify your ballot. Don't worry. This is a new process, and you can always ask a poll worker for help or for a new ballot if you make a mistake. So, how do ballots get counted with ranked choice voting? If one candidate gets more than 50% of everyone's first choice votes, they win the election right away. That's it. If no candidate gets more than 50%, ballots will be counted in rounds. Round by round, the candidate with the fewest votes is eliminated. So, if your top-rated candidate is eliminated, your vote goes to your next highest choice. This keeps going until only 2 candidates remain. The person with the most votes wins. Ranked choice voting is already popular in many cities around the country, because voters find that it helps more voices be heard. Now it's our turn. Get answers to your questions and learn more at nyccfb.info/RCV.
The microphone's still on, y'all. All right, thank you guys. Welcome back. Okay, so now I get to ask some questions, and Obocho gets to ask some questions we're very excited about. So my first question, and I've actually decided I'm going to go ahead and just open it up to whomever is comfortable answering. I obviously am a minority. My businesses are minority owned and run businesses, and as I think it was you, Mr. Pierre, you mentioned that a lot of the minority businesses got cut out of PPP loans and things like that. What are your specific plans for helping minority-run businesses if you are elected? Whomever would like to answer that. Okay, Mr. Pierre.
So to start with, whenever these programs are being created, they don't have us in mind. They don't think about the scale of our businesses. Sometimes the definition of a small business is revenue of $25 million a year. Who has a small business here that's making 25? So one, we have to redefine what small business means according to our terms. If we, like, you're electing me as your voice to go back there, and when they divvy up the capital and they determine, okay, this is how we're going to spend our money, that your voice is coming through me, and it's saying that, well, maybe we should have contracts as little as $25,000 so that it's more accessible. And so when you start with that $25,000 contract as an MWBE, it's a stepping stone for you to eventually become that small business that makes $25 million a year. So that's one of the things that I've seen over and over again that I think really can be resolved if we have the will and we have your backing to come to City Hall and push for it with me.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Cortez, go ahead.
One of the things that we have to do in the communities is to educate them. As I walk on Ostrad Avenue, giving out my flyers, I have talked to business owners, and I have asked them about different programs that the community have, and especially in the pandemic. And they said they have no knowledge, they didn't have any access, they don't know where to go. So one of the things that we have to do is we have to educate the community. We have to show them what is accessible, what programs are there, and how we can even show them how to do it in order to be eligible, because many of them do not know how to do it. And I'm surprised so many wonderful businesses have done very well without any aid.
Thank you. Mrs. Hilliard.
So I think one of the things that we as a people, when it comes to organizing, we need to make sure that our voice is one and that we are really pushing the agenda. A lot, when you're looking at the levels that are set and all that, that is because there's a specific group of people who have organized and are pushing the entirety of a legislative body to move. And so we need not just your elected official. Your elected official is central to that point, but the Black businesses and Black and brown businesses have to organize around it. Then there's also a matter of the fundamental technical and technological issues. We have to get the basics down packed, and that'll give us the foundation to then go out and really champion what the specific needs are. And then once we do that, it's like not 1 minute, but we also have to we have to think around, what's an MWBE and how we're defining it, because when that certification, it's thick paper. We're just too busy trying to stay in the black to even fill out all of that paperwork. And so we have to bring it down, shrink it, and so it's more direct and can actually address who we are as Black businesses.
Thank you. Thank you. Mrs. Hines.
Piggybacking off of what Kenya said, I think that, forget the statistics, all of this stuff, let's cut to the chase. What we need to do is, if we're up here and we're candidates, if we get into office, we need to be people of our word. Because you got people that get into office, they say one thing when they're up here, campaigning, and then when they get into office, everything they said go out the window. One thing that I would like to say is thank you, Mr. Josh Pierre, for recognizing Obocho. You know, I saw the post that you put up of him, and you recognize what it is that he needs. If you get into office, please, be a man of your word, which I know that you will be. Ms. Rita Joseph, too, I see that you also, compliment Obocho. You also even offered services. Thank you for helping us. Thank you for recognizing him to be the gem that he is. If you get into office, please be a woman of your word. Everybody up here, please be a woman and men of your word. Also, we need to elect elected officials, again, like I said, who are people of their word. Like I would like to thank Theo Chino, candidate for public advocate. He's here in the room tonight or whatever. And I know that if he's elected, rep my block, he's a man of his word. I have Reverend Gregory Seal Livingston back there, Justice 1654. He's a reverend of his word. He's a clergy. I surround myself around people who hold tight to their word. So again, that's what I would like to say.
Thank you. The shout outs are real. We love it. Right. Thank you all for being here. Did anyone else want to answer the question? Yes, Ms. Joseph.
I'm going to even claim Obocho. He was a student at my school.
Do something for him when you get in there.
He was a student at PS6, and we're very proud of him. For Career Day, we put him on the wall so the children can aspire to see that one of them is out there doing that. And we're still very proud of you, Obocho.
Cheers. That's fantastic. Did anyone else want to answer the question?
I wanted to answer.
Okay. You got like 10 seconds left.
All right, 10 seconds.
Okay.
As a small business owner as myself, when I applied for the WMBE and I thought I was savvy and all that other stuff, the paperwork is so thick. The red tape is ridiculous. So that's one of the things we need to work with our colleagues in government, cut some of that red tape. And some of the requirements they know that's not for us. As many of my colleagues have said, when they designed this, they weren't thinking of us they weren't thinking of us at all. So MWBE, they need to cut the paperwork and the red tape a lot.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead. Ms. Morgan.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Rita. Rita said it perfectly, right? The paperwork is ridiculous. And a lot of folks that do get the funding, what they do, they have their lawyers doing the paperwork for them. They're not doing it. So when we have these small businesses that's just starting out, they have no idea how much time and effort it takes just to fill out the paperwork. So we must cut the red tape and make it more easy and accessible to the small businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Morris.
So I've been working with businesses for over 35 years as their attorney and as their advocate. And what's really critical is they have access to capital and they can keep their costs low. And what I would like to see is the city, again, we can do a pilot project right here in Flatbush. As Flatbush goes, so goes the city. But we can actually start a public banking process and really support the small merchants. And one of the first steps that we can do to support a public bank is have a non-depository bank feature to our public bank. And so basically that means that we could offer the merchants a clearinghouse for credit cards. So they do not have to use commercial clearinghouses for their credit card charges. And because right now merchants are being charged somewhere between 2 to 4% for those charges. And we could reduce that down on a municipal non-depository bank with no cost to the taxpayers down to maybe a half a penny. So this is a huge success. And in that process, exactly what the other candidates were saying, as we sign up our merchants to our Muni non-depository bank for those credit card transactions, we can also start instructing them in more efficient ways to conduct business.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Bars. Anyone else? I'm sorry.
The premise of your
Mr. Raymond.
The premise of your question spoke to the racial disparities, because you mentioned yourself as a minority. So I think it's this is where data is important. So a commission to investigate businesses that didn't receive loans or don't know about grants and see why. Because with the data, we can see if there's external validity and see why these disparities exist. Sometimes it's because of the lack of resources, like having a lawyer do your paperwork, or like Rita said, just the red tape, et cetera. But with the data, we can make a more empirical, empirical finding as to why this continues to exist.
Anyone else? Any last remarks? All right.
Thank you so much. As a young entrepreneur, I have a question I would like to ask the candidates, and that is, as a 12-year-old entrepreneur in the 6th grade, do you have plans to implement financial literacy in the schools to help us learn at a young age?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes, for so many reasons.
Yes, Josh Pierre.
So thank you so much for saying that. And I don't know if you came up with that yourself or someone, but that's an excellent question. This society, this country we live in, is all about finance. And yet, all the way from kindergarten through high school, none of us learned any real finance, which means that they've essentially not prepared us to survive in the system that is all around us. So there were two things that ever since I was in high school that I felt was already missing. It was civic education, and the other one was financial education. And so, yeah, I'm totally with you, and we're of the same mind on that.
Ms. Cortez.
As an educator, that I work not only with especially with deaf and hard of hearing students who also have, you need to educate everyone to have knowledge of money, how the money works. I think that we should start a program where the students have access to open a checking account, a savings account in a local bank. That will help them to give them a concept of how to save money and how to use money, because when they get older as a teenager and start their business, or they just get into, they have no idea of what's happening. So we must educate at that level from the beginning so that they are prepared. And especially in District 40, that we have a lot of young people who right now are having a lot of difficulties. We want to save them from the guns and the gangs, and we want to prepare them for a positive future.
Thank you so much. Ms. Joseph?
As an educator, I would love to include financial literacy as part of the curriculum. And then as part of the curriculum, we partner up with a local bank where the students will then go and make deposits, create accounts, and learn how to save. I remember one year we were doing a project for Mother's Day, and there's a book called Money in a Jar. It was about a family who lost everything in a fire, and every day they saved something in a jar. So we had all the students come in and save something in the jar, and by the end, that's how they were able to purchase a Mother's Day gift. So it could be the same concept. Curriculum, as an educator, I would definitely push for financial literacy curriculum across New York City.
Ms. Hines?
As a 12-year-old entrepreneur, I must commend you that you have taken a leadership stance on, educating the community on financial literacy, not only just the adults in the community, but the children in the community. When I grew up right here in District 40, at the time that I was growing up, I lived in a frozen zone district. So I was bused out to Sheepshead Bay to get my formal education, my primary education. One thing that they did teach us out there was banking. Every Tuesday, we had a bank book at Roosevelt Savings Bank. We had to put our money, into the bank. The teachers would take the money, they would deposit it in. This is a practice that is taught in other areas of Brooklyn, but is not taught in the Black and minority areas of Brooklyn. So I definitely commend you in your taking the leadership role for financial literacy.
Thank you. Ms. Morgan?
Thank you. Not only financial literacy that we need to bring into the schools, but we need to bring other programs in. Like we used to have shop, we have cooking, parenting. We need, especially parenting, because now the children are having children and they're not even ready for that. On the news a few weeks ago, a young girl left her baby in a grocery store. So we have to bring these programs into the school and start educating our young people at an early age. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Handy Hilliard.
Sure. I totally agree with my colleagues around we need to really advocate for the change in curriculum in our schools. It's a prerogative of the state, so definitely advocating our state elected officials to make sure we change the school curriculum to include not only financial literacy, but entrepreneurship. I think one of the really exciting things that I've been mulling over is how do we create a community Shark Tank right? We have community members who would want to invest in businesses and really take young people who have great ideas and infuse that cash, right? It's about the capital and how to start and grow that business. And so partnering with Brooklyn Commons to see how we can create the rental space and the incubator for you to grow. And so those are the ideas with the extracurricular and discretionary funding, potentially with participatory budgeting, that we can then get those types of programs in so that we plug it into the schools, but it extends out towards the community.
Thank you. Mr. Raymond.
Yeah. So I'm glad that this is one of the topics that's unanimous and pretty much easy for everyone to say yes to. It only makes sense. It makes you wonder why doesn't this already exist? I'll go a step further and go as far as mentoring young folks. So imagine a nonprofit that brings professionals there that actually mentor young folks who have entrepreneurship in mind, or introduces them if they don't already think in that wavelength. So I think mentorship. I actually have a nonprofit, a mentoring program called Plot, Preparing Leaders of Tomorrow. So I know a little bit about that. But particularly when it comes to finance, this is something that young folks needs. That those formative years where young folks are very impressionable and malleable. This is where we have to mold them into the adults that we want to see them be.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So I have a question that I just thought of while we were here. A lot of you mentioned beautification, right? That we really need to clean the streets up, get things looking nice. As a real estate agent and just being someone that's very realistic, unfortunately, I hear beautification and my mind goes to gentrification, right? Because we know that the cleaner and prettier and nicer that things look, the more they're attractive to those that want to move in. That's fine. But I would like to know, how do you guys feel about the effects of gentrification, specifically on small businesses? And do you have any ideas? Not if you have plans that you've already thought out, but any ideas of how we can fix that or what we can do to address it? Yes, go ahead.
So gentrification, I don't believe it. I don't want it to be gentrification. I want it to be revitalization. And it starts with the folks who are here and how we create that shared equity and investment into our community. And so I've been talking to business owners throughout the district to see how we can partner together and pool the equity to then start investing in properties, start to come together to kind of, again, the goal is to create an arts and culture community so that our arts and our creatives can have the financing to stay here, then pooling that money from the revenue that's coming into the corridor for small businesses to collectively come together and then start reinvesting in other areas of the community. We can't have a real conversation about staying here unless we start playing Monopoly along with others. We have to have the ownership in order to demand what is going to happen in the community. And so we have financial literacy is really important because we have a very different relationship with money. And so we have to get an understanding of why we need to invest now and collectively come together and put that money so we can own our community.
Thank you, Mr. Morris.
So just as to say something further, what Kenya was suggesting, a municipal public bank would do just that. We would actually be able to organize our merchants and small businesses. We'd be able to have them in different and their merchant associations having the relationship with the bank, so they can get that financing, they can get that flow of information, because actually the financing is only one direction. We have the information from the merchants that needs to go to the finance people, and the finance people need to provide the loans. And we can provide some low cost financing that can be targeted. It would be community based, and so we'd be able to isolate exactly where the most direct needs are. And that is the way that we can have revitalization without gentrification. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, hold on. Ms. Cortez, go ahead.
Yes, we have seen the many businesses going out of business, especially during the COVID time. So one of the things that we have to do is really strengthen the associations, the merchants association, to make sure that the rents do not go up and they do not displace the businesses, because when the rent goes up, immediately in my neighborhood, so many businesses have gone out of business because they cannot pay the rent. So one of the things we have to assure is that we have to help the business to make sure that the rents, we have to have some program to help them with the rent so that they will not be able to go out of business, and we maintain the business. Otherwise, as soon as the business go out, another business take over and the gentrification happens. So we have to support our local businesses but strengthen the merchant associations. They know what we want.
Thank you. Ms. Morgan.
Thank you. So over the pandemic, the height of the pandemic, I started a petition to save Associated Supermarket because they're looking to close that supermarket. And in order for us, we cannot talk about gentrification because gentrification has been here for a long time and it's not going anywhere. So what we need to do is to learn how to work with the people that's in the community, set programs that's going to put a cap on rent for small businesses, make sure they have access to funding and support. So I think starting at that point and building the Merchants Association, we would be able to do that. And also, cleaning up the community is something that is necessary.
Yes.
I started cleaning up the community when people were saying, oh, that's all you're going to do is to clean. Yes, I want to clean up my community where I live because I'm proud and I want to walk down the street and don't have to step into garbage.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Hines.
The word beautification means so much to me, more than one thing. As we know that I am the president of Parade Grounds Friends of Parks, even though I am physically disabled, I don't discriminate against those who are able-bodied. So I always say, if I can, we can. I go out there, I clean the park. I also am block captain to clean my streets. Beautification to me also means love and mutual respect for one another in the community. Like, again, building towers where you cannot see the sun, where it blocks your breathing. I was a part of Save Could Tell You, one of the main leaders of Save Could Tell You at 1620 to prevent the building of a monstrosity tower, that would affect the quality of life in the community. Unfortunately, it was signed on, and there's nothing I can do for that. But I tell you this, when I say love and respect for one another, we have a site on Bedford and Church Avenue where they're trying to develop on top of African bones. I am one of the founders of Justice 1654, in response to that. And that's beautification. Everyone getting along in total and complete harmony and respecting one another. That's beautification to me.
Thank you. Mr. Jordan.
Yeah, I think gentrification is the manifestation of problems that has been historically affecting the people in New York and America. I think we have an inequity in the system where we have some groups that have access to the best schools and the best jobs, and as a result, they can have the highest income and they can come into any area and outbid other people. I think we need to look at a long-term equity. We need some kind of mechanism to level the playing field. We have to get everyone on the same level, the same access to the specialized high school, the same access to capital to develop businesses, and we need to really address the fundamental cause of gentrification, which is one group that has a high income, a lot of money, a lot of wealth can come in and simply move another group with less economic power. So we have to address the fundamental fact. It's not the individuals, it's the system itself.
That wasn't my question, but it's okay. I'm sorry. I do want to ask you the question again, if it's okay. I want to know what do you think the effects of the gentrification are on small businesses specifically? Not just what it is, but how does it affect the small businesses of this district, and how do you think we can fix that, or maybe even adjust those effects?
Well, gentrification has positive effects for the business community. Clearly, you have this new group of people who are coming into the neighborhood with the high incomes. They can spend on the small businesses, so the businesses benefit. And as you can see, many of them has prospered because of gentrification. So it has its plus and its minuses. I can't see it really harming the small businesses, but it harms the local residents. It displaces them because they don't have the income that's high enough to compete with this new entry into the community.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Pierre.
So I understand the fear that's connected between if we beautify, then we get gentrified out. But we're mistaking the cause and the effect and the symptoms here. Gentrification is a function of inequitable rent laws, the fact that there are racial aspects to the way the private landlord does look at applications, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the crux of your question is, how does that impact the businesses? Well, businesses exist to serve markets, right? So if you're a business that's selling Caribbean food and there's no Caribbean market, then there goes your business. And you can tell that's what's going to happen because all you got to do is look further up Franklin Avenue, and it's just coming down this way. Now, it doesn't have to be malicious. It doesn't have to be that type of displacement, but that's exactly what we're seeing, and we need to be honest about that. What we could have, though, is a system. What we need to have is this. What drives the gentrification is the eviction rates and the fact that we're not getting access to affordable housing. We need to focus on affordable housing and eviction rates. That's why I'm proposing a tenant protection unit to keep local residents in their homes, regardless of what race they are.
Thank you. Thank you. Who else wanted to answer? Ms. Joseph?
Well, he kind of touched upon some of the things I wanted to say. First, we want to make sure that we're able to keep the people here. Affordable housing has to be affordable in order for them to live here, thrive here, do business, go to work, and do all of the other stuff. Also, we also need a cap on the commercial rent for these small business owners. You can't just nilly-willy charge them whatever you want or push them out without any recourses. So that's what I would do in terms of making sure there's a cap for small business owners.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone? Yes? Okay. All right. We had one other question from Dale with Impact Brooklyn. They would like to know, what have you done as a candidate and just as an individual? What have you done so far for small businesses in this community? No, this is a less exciting answer. Give me some energy. Who wants to go first? Okay, Mr. Pierre, you waved your hand.
So I used to sit on two organizations that are deeply rooted in this community. I was a part of CACI, the Caribbean American Association of Business and Commerce, as well as HABNet, Haitian American Business Network. At HABNet, one of my functions was actually helping people fill out applications because my background is accounting and finance. And what you found was that there was a huge discrepancy between all that paperwork, as was mentioned before, and the folks in the community who are just trying to sometimes just get basic applications done so that they can have basic business functions. I'm not even talking about the massive paperwork that they feel like they have to do for MWBE. So my function was using my talents to, for free, help folks fill out their applications.
Thank you. Ms. Cortez?
I have lived in the community for 30 years, and I have worked with many different organizations. Flatbush Network, and trying to always work as making sure that things are going well in the community, beautifying the community, and educating the community to have what is needed. Also, I work in the library, educating the students because it's a immigrant community. The students and the parents do not speak English, and they do not know how the system works. And I was there educating, teaching them how things work. If we start at an early age and we educate how the students, how the system works, what is necessary for them to know, will have a student like you, the future entrepreneurs that will understand what it takes to make a business, that will understand what you need to be an entrepreneur. So education and being part of the community is number one.
Thank you. Ms. Hilliard, sorry, Handy Hilliard. Y'all next to each other.
Handy Hines, right? So I started my career working for Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, who's our local congresswoman down in DC, and had been really working on the legislative end, trying to get greater access to capital for MWBEs. So that, working on legislation, working on small business, the Small Business Committee with Nydia Velasquez, and trying to focus particularly on Black businesses because we are 1% of 3%. So it is, that was fundamental. Then coming in, working for the city comptroller's office, I sat on 4 bids, which introduced me to Impact, and really working on how to create that connection with small businesses and the resources that they need. So that has been fun, kind of my entry point into where I am now, and understanding the importance of our small business community, how they will move us and usher us out of this economic slump. And so all of the investment has to come from there. So what I've been doing now is really connecting our small businesses who are struggling with Impact, with other community organizations and support systems, and making sure that we are connecting other businesses with each other so that they know each other, and that we can then start to move to strengthen our merchants associations and other organizing mechanisms.
Thank you, Ms. Hines.
Without reiterating, everyone here can see what I've done for small business, who I represent is sitting right here. But also, not only in District 40, I've done stuff throughout Brooklyn. I've written grants for small businesses, small establishments. I've established 501c3s for churches in East New York. I've written grants to bring in after-school programs to serve the East New York community. So my strong business savvy extends beyond District 40. I am Brooklyn-wide. That's the reason why I like to call myself, and I have a nonprofit called Save Brooklyn, that even though I'm running here in District 40, I'm concerned with all of Brooklyn, all of Brooklyn's small business, and all of the matters that plague Brooklyn.
Thank you. Ms. Joseph.
One of the things I've done for the businesses in District 40, whenever the new business arrive, I usually go and introduce myself. I have a background in PR marketing. Always offer my services, whether it's to help them set up. I also have a background in tech, so whatever their tech needs are, and I'm usually providing my services free of charge, pro bono, just to make sure, because I know that when I had my business, I had a mentor. I had someone that helped me set it up and take it off, even was really, really hard with all that paperwork, but we did it. Because I know for women, especially for women of color, setting up a business is hard. So normally we struggle the first couple of years, and once you get it, I'm able to educate others. So I've always given my skills, whether it's to write a press release, whether it's to write content for them, whether it's to help them set up their website, do marketing and PR for them. That's how I've helped a lot of businesses in District 40.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan.
Yes, well, as a member of Community Board 17, I've served on the Commerce Committee, and where we interact with businesses that needs different license or different, have to meet certain requirements for the city to avoid being fined. And in general, as an economist, I can work with a small business and give them a sense of where things are going or where things are coming from, and to help them prepare for this rapidly changing environment.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Morris?
So for many years, I worked for the city of New York, and I was leasing waterfront property. And in that process, it can be incredibly cumbersome. And so we developed a program for small businesses, micro businesses, to have access to waterfront property using licenses. So it actually was able to expedite a lot of support for small businesses. As a practicing attorney for 35 years, what I've been doing is offering pro bono services for businesses in the 40th district, mainly food stores, to avoid food insecurity, who had the wrong end of litigation. They're facing predatory banks or predatory insurance companies and defending them. So they have direct defense to making sure that we have our small businesses survive.
Mr. Raymond. He gave me a look like, why won't you pick on me? Go ahead.
So a lot of businesses in the district, for different reasons, don't have the best relationship with the police department. And for years, I've used on my own time, private time, I've been the liaison between them and the department. Oftentimes, unfortunately, businesses do become victims of crimes. I've helped trigger investigations, again, on my own time. And last year, a fraternity I'm part of, we started different funds to help the businesses, because this is before, the loans and the grants started coming in, and I donated to several businesses to help keep them afloat.
Thank you. Fantastic. Yes, I'm Miss Morgan. Sorry.
Thank you. So, like I said earlier, I started a petition, Save Associated Supermarket, right? So I am hands-on with the community. If I see that a business needs help and I'm able to lend a helping hand in any aspect, I do so. I do not wait to, I'm doing the work now and I'm not in office, right? Because a lot of times people feel more comfortable coming to me to ask me to assist them in whatever aspect they need in their business. And I'm willing to do so. I am hands-on in the community right now. I fight for my seniors and for the small businesses. And building up the Merchants Association would be a #1 priority to me, because the Merchants Association would help the small business, and the small business is what is the backbone of our community. They're hiring local residents right here. So we must continue to support local businesses.
Thank you. Thank you. Would anyone else like to answer? I think, did we get everybody? Yes. All right.
Thank you. Thanks again, all of you, for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you all. I forgot to mention, if you would like to know more about ranked choice voting, you can visit vote.nyc online. And we would like to ask all of the candidates to join us for post interviews with Rita Pierre of Black Ivy Media. And I just want to personally say thank you all for coming. Thank you for entertaining me and my questions and Pocho's questions. I know everyone here is super excited to just see what whomever does when you get into place. So thank you so much for just being a part of the community, coming here and talking to small businesses. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Give a round of applause for our moderator. As you guys know, every time we do a forum or Q&A, we always feature a small business. I would like to really quickly call Samantha. She recently joined us. She's a small business who just opened her business here. Samantha, please come in. Samantha, just introduce yourself, guys, before you leave. Please support her small business. She have a beautiful, amazing products in the back. Samantha, come in. She probably was like, Joy, you didn't tell me about this. Where is she? Samantha, come in. Okay, she's in the back. Please stop by her table and support her. We have some food and drinks in the back and downstairs. And thank you, each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much for coming.
All right, guys, just shout out to the timekeeper. You know what I mean? The timekeeper, I got you, brother. He's not even paying. Timekeeper. Shout out, man. Right?
Yes, thank you.
Can't
and
forget
we're gonna have to take some picture. And we have food, and we have people might have questions for you guys if you guys want to stick around. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
We gotta take pictures, right? Pictures?
It feels like we should have been part of this one.
Yeah.